Tonight on EIV News, a new report has Boston police asking for community help. Find out why it's important to remember to lock your doors and windows.
Plus, a widely recognizable symbol is getting a facelift in the North End. We'll tell you what this means for the handicapped.
And troops in Afghanistan are headed home. Stay tuned to hear when they'll be back in the United States.
Live from downtown Boston, leading the way with important local coverage. This is EIV News at 9.
Hello and welcome to EIV News Live at 9. I'm Joshua Sackheim.
And I'm Cassidy Bretler. And here are tonight's top stories.
Japan is scrambling to prevent what could become a major nuclear disaster. The country's government is ordering citizens to stay indoors after the Fukushima power plant exploded and caught fire. Prime Minister Nato Kan said radiation is spreading from reactors damaged by the earthquake and tsunami. The northeastern plant may request help from the U.S. and Japanese military to stop the blaze. Up to 450,000 people are in temporary shelters following the series of catastrophes. 10,000 are believed to have been killed by the tsunami and earthquake. The crisis in Japan is prompting a closer look at New England's own nuclear energy. Some politicians believe the U.S. should pause its efforts to restart the industry because of worries the facilities are not completely safe. Energy officials are assuring the security of several New England nuclear plants. They have renewed the license of a Vermont plant and plan to evaluate one in New Hampshire. It's unclear whether stricter regulations will be enforced for future relicensing. And a factory explosion rocked Middleton Sunday night. Firefighters responded after 7:30 to the 4-alarm blaze in the industrial complex of Bostik Incorporated. The company manufactures adhesive and sealant, and 4 workers were injured in the fire. Surrounding homes felt the explosion but were luckily not affected. Local environmental officials remain worried about chemical contamination of a nearby river, but despite concerns, authorities say the air and drinking water are safe.
And then Sunday, it's going to be 45 and sunny. Going into Monday, spring weather. It's right around the corner. I can feel it. I will see you in a few minutes over at the sports desk. Until then, let's go back to Joshua and Cassidy.
Thanks for that, Ross. We'll see you back here shortly. The tsunami in Japan continues to affect the global economy. Earlier in the week, the natural disaster led to a broad sell-off in the stock market. NASDAQ dropped 0.5% in less than a day. Upscale retailers with large businesses in Japan are also experiencing fallouts. The economy will remain uncertain as Japan settles in the wake of this tragedy. The tsunami has also left the crude oil industry reeling. Japan is the world's 3rd largest crude consumer at 4.5 million barrels per day. 3 of Japan's 5 largest refineries have been shut down. Richard Soltanian of Nest Consulting said Japan's crude oil will probably be diminished in the near future. However, analysts say that diesel use in Japan could be on the rise. And drivers in Massachusetts are starting to feel the pinch of soaring gasoline prices. The price of gas is increasing by another 3 cents this week. This marks the 4th consecutive week of increases, but there is some silver lining. Despite the rise in price, Massachusetts remains below the national average for self-serve unleaded gas. Still, though, as prices rise, motorists are continuing to be cautious about where they drive.
Now that's all the sports news I have for you tonight. Let's go back to Cassidy and Joshua at the desk.
And he must be a very proud father. Thanks for that, Ross. We're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned for why Bieber fans are seeing double.
And find out how owning a dog can be beneficial to your health. All that and more next on EIV News.
This Monday, the stock market saw some major gains with the Dow Jones Industrial Average closing above 12,000 for the first time since Japan's nuclear meltdown. The index rose from 1.5% to 3.6% over the last 3 trading days, which is the largest 3-month jump since September. For every stock that fell on the New York Stock Exchange, 5 rose. Consumer advocates are worrying about AT&T's proposition to obtain T-Mobile in what AT&T says is a vital combination for America's leadership in broadband services. AT&T purchased T-Mobile for $39 billion in cash and AT&T stock, a move leaving consumers worrying about rising monthly prices. Yesterday morning, AT&T Chief Executive Rondell Stevenson said the decision will not only benefit the company's shareholders, but will benefit the well-being of the United States. This will allow AT&T to reach 95% of the U.S. population, a number they could not have reached on their own. And finally, some good news for Bay State drivers. Massachusetts gas prices have finally leveled off after weeks of soaring costs. According to reports released Monday by AAA of Southern New England, regular self-serve gas prices remain at a steady $3.74 per gallon. AAA has also found regular self-serve as low as $3.32 and as high as $3.69 per gallon. The weather seems to have decreased crime, but it's caused nearly 200 roofs to collapse across the state.
EIV's Abby Nesgoda found a special bond growing beneath one of them.
The Oscars are just a few days off, and WEBN has a crew out there right now getting all the latest from the red carpet. Let's kick it over to Jordan Moncada to see what's going on out there in Hollywood. It's that time of year again when college students throw aside their textbooks and start heading over to warmer destinations. But as EIV's Brett Otis tells us, when you're preparing to go abroad, there are a ton of safety measures that you have to prepare for. Yeah, that's the spring weather I'm really looking forward to, Cassidy.
I know. When I was on my way to the show tonight, it started snowing, and I really couldn't believe it. I don't know what's going on.
Soon enough. Well, that's all the time for you we have tonight, but don't worry, we'll be back soon enough, and you can check us out online at eivnews.com.
Thank you so much for choosing EIV News. Have a great night.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you tonight, but don't worry, we'll be back next week, and remember to check us out online at eivnews.com.
Thanks for watching EIV News. Have a great night.
Sadly, that's all the time we have for you tonight, but no need to fret. Remember to check us out on our website at eivnews.com.
And thank you for choosing EIV News. Have a great night.
Can't wait until the Star Wars retakes take the theaters? Well, our movie correspondent Josh is here to tell you about some upcoming films that should help you tide over until then.
Thanks, Alyssa. I'm Joshua Sackheim. Hitting theaters on March 4th, The Adjustment Bureau tells a happy tale. Politician Matt Damon meets dancer Emily Blunt. They run around, fall in love, and intend on living happily ever after. That is, until Roger Sterling from Mad Men shows up and tells them they can't. In fact, he's part of a group of mysterious men dressed in 1960s garb who follow people's intended paths in life. Basically, if the young couple stays together, they'll die. And on that note, happy belated Valentine's Day. You can catch The Adjustment Bureau in theaters next week. Well, if the idea of Neil Patrick Harris playing a blind tutor sounds like some crazy Barney Stinson scheme for meeting women, think again. Instead, it's his role in Beastly, which serves as a sort of modern retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Harris counsels a once-hot stud cursed by an Olsen twin, now disfigured and isolated. But when Vanessa Hudgens enters the picture, she may be the answer to breaking the spell. We all know how it ends, but we don't know how they'll tackle the talking clock and candlestick. You'll have the answers to these questions and more when Beastly hits theaters on March 4th. Pirates of the Caribbean director Gore Verbinski reteams with Johnny Depp in the animated feature Rango, which will also be in theaters next week. In this wild-looking adventure, Depp plays a chameleon that wears a Hunter S. Thompson outfit and an identity crisis. After a series of miscommunications, Rango inadvertently becomes a sheriff in a western town. Even after that description and the trailers, we're not really sure what the movie is actually about. We're just excited Tim Burton isn't involved. And finally, from Catherine Hardwicke, the director of Twilight, comes another movie exactly like Twilight. Since the story of Little Red Riding Hood uses the word wolf, it seems as though Hollywood figured it'd be a great time to turn the legend into a tween romance. Red Riding Hood follows a small village with one girl, one pale teen, one dark teen, Gary Oldman, and a mysterious wolf that may or may not be one of the other established characters. Expect Muse songs, sparkly skin, and mediocre reviews. Sounds just like a date with me. That's it for upcoming movies. Back to you, Alyssa.
All right, thanks, Josh. So I've got a question for you. Have you been keeping up on this Charlie Sheen news?
Absolutely. In fact, I know you probably all saw his great interview on Good Morning America, and so, of course, the logical follow-up was for him to start a Twitter account. Exactly.
We were checking out his Twitter account before the show started, and his first tweet was a picture of him with chocolate milk and Nika juice that said winning.
Of course. Well, the man is a winner. He's a fighter. He's a warrior and a philosopher. I mean, if you watch that interview, one of his pearls of wisdom is dying is for fools.
So we are hoping that everyone kind of takes that with a grain of salt. I know I am. I think that's probably the best advice I've gotten all year. How about you?
Amen, sister girl.
He's also had some other great quotes within that interview. He said that last time he took drugs, he took so many drugs that he should have died.
But he didn't, which is why he's a great role model for our children. The man is clearly an immortal. Can't deny that.
I'm kind of hoping that my sister starts looking up to him. Maybe he'll record a children's album. Maybe he'll become bigger than Justin Bieber. I think his message is wonderful.
Or maybe he'll be the new president of Libya. I mean, the possibilities are just endless.
He's got a great future ahead of him. That's all I've got to say. I just feel bad for his children, but I mean, with that, that's all the time we've got for today. And so that's the first episode of The Dish. Be sure to check back all semester long for the latest entertainment news. And remember, dying is for fools. Thanks for watching.